welcome back, welcome back. Y'all know who it is, Metro Meta, the one who will rise above, lover of Mimikyus, the one who stands above all others, he who shall not fail. And I am here with...
Marcus Flowers, aka Flo, aka Call Me What You Want, just don't call me lazy, at one Marcus Flowers on all social media platforms. And today we are here to talk about Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. And
Yes.
before we go any further, make sure you are commenting, and subscribing to 26 and Glencoe on YouTube. Comment, and subscribe on our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, everywhere you find podcasts, we're there. And also, before I begin, we have a live reaction pod to the Pokemon Direct that dropped earlier this day. That was done by Meta. So make sure you check that out. So yeah, you want to start it off real quick?
Yeah, let's go with the name. Pokemon Sword, Pokemon Shield. Are you liking the names?
I do like it. I just feel like in the past, to me, the Pokemon names have been very energy, very mellow, very here and there, like Ultra Moon, Sun, Silver, Gold, Blue, Red. But this one, it seems like there's an urgency there that just like from the title, it seems like there's an urgency there that has never been felt in a Pokemon RPG.
Yeah. Which one? You said you wanted Sword, right?
Yes, for sure.
That's right. I am liking that, even though this is a new generation, they could have, honestly, since they're probably going to sell this for $60, they could have just made it one game. But the fact that they're keeping this part of the franchise alive, this sort of division of which game you're going to get and finding friends, I think that's something that is core to the Pokemon experience that people don't think about as much.
Well, and it's always been like that. They've always released games in pair, even from the very beginning with Red and Blue. You had version Red and you had version Blue, and even then you had Pokemon that you can get on Red that you couldn't get on Blue. So it makes sense. I wasn't too surprised about that.
Yeah, the only question I will have about the names is when they release the third version. They always release a third or second iteration of the game. They did it with Black and White. They did it with Black and White. They did it with Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. And of course, we didn't get it. Actually, they didn't do it with Black and White, which I was kind of upset about, just because you didn't play the Unova region, did you?
No, I did not. No.
Yeah, that was one of my honestly, that game had one of the greatest stories told through Pokemon, especially nowadays. I've been reflecting on it lately. But if they do a second iteration of these games, I'm interested to see what they go with for that name. I mean, Trebuchet.
They could just go with since there is not a military, but like a battle theme. They could just go like Pokemon Valor, something easy like that.
Pokemon Valor. Some people are joking online. There's to be like the next one's gonna be Pokemon Gun, but we'll talk about a little bit later. Let's go on to the second decision everybody has to make when they get a Pokemon game. The starters, let's run it down. We have Score Bunny, the fire type, a rabbit Pokemon that's always running about, bursting with energy. Grookey, the grass type, a mischievous chimp Pokemon that's full of boundless curiosity. And Scrubble, a somewhat timid water lizard Pokemon that shoots out attacks as it hides itself in the water. Marcus, your decision.
So off top, I'm going with the Score Bunny. I've always gone with the fire type, regardless of the game. Just because that's always been it. Fire types have always been the best. So why not keep the tradition going?
Yeah, I'm going with Squubble. I love me my water types, and he just looks fun. Do you like these starters overall?
Yeah, I actually do like the starter Pokemon. I didn't really have I didn't have an issue with it the way I saw other people just online having an issue with it. I welcomed it, and they don't seem original, but they seem very unique to the Pokemon mythos, which is very tough to do considering how many creatures they've already had to imagine. So just seeing this iteration of starter Pokemon, it does lead to some excitement that I have for it. I'm very interested as to like hopefully we'll get leaks or news about their evolutions, which is also something I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, this is going to be a very interesting generation. We'll get into this a little bit more later, but just from some of the reviews and some of the people I've heard from, Marcus, I don't know if you know this, but for the past couple generations, they try to go with themes for each of the three. And for this generation, many people are believing that the theme is going to be athletics or sports, especially going into the region that we're going to be dealing with now, the Galera region, which Marcus, what do you think this region is based off of?
So the Galar or Galar region, I'm thinking just based off of like the names of the titles of the games, and just looking at the map of the game, I'm thinking probably England, the United Kingdom.
Yeah, I mean, for some regions, it's kind of harder to guess what it's based off of. But Galar, oh my gosh, it screams. Galar screams England more than Unova screamed New York, and that's saying something. So it's going to be a really interesting
Yeah,
way
but
of seeing this. And
also just like to interject, it could be I wouldn't mind like a United Kingdom going like traveling to like a Ireland adjacent. See, because we just see one map, and they didn't say this is the official map. They just showed us like a map of an island, so that could be like them like, hey, this is just the beginning. Like, hold tight. There could be like different islands and stuff that you do have to like travel to, just because in past generations of Pokemon games, you've always had to travel via water to certain destinations. So I wouldn't be surprised if that wasn't the full map.
yeah, and one other interesting thing, the train that is very prominently featured throughout the videos. Many people would point out that that train more than likely leads to the Kalos region, which was based on France, and is one of my favorite regions. So I'd be down to go back to Kalos anytime soon. But getting into the meat and potatoes of this, first up, how do you like the art style?
No, I enjoy the art style a lot. It's very different from Pokemon Let's Go. It looks more clear, more detailed. Like they said, Pokemon Let's Go. They didn't say this is just my opinion. Pokemon Let's Go was more of a power grab and more of a money grab. So get something quick and out there, so that that Pokemon is on their minds. While this game, it seems like they've put time and effort into the animations and making sure that the game is very detailed.
Yeah, so from what we know about the timeline of this game, and it depends because Game Freak might have multiple teams working on it, but from what we know, this game has been under development for about 3 years since the end of the original Sun and Moon. So hopefully they spent that dev time really getting into the meat and potatoes and seeing how they can change things. But as far as people who were upset at Let's Go for its changes, they seem to have made steps to make this more of a core RPG. Random encounters are back, which I know some people are upset about that just because it was a welcomed change in Let's Go to not have them.
I am very upset about that, just because I enjoy. Well, we do have to remember that the game still is in development, so maybe there will be maybe there won't be random encounters, and you'll be able to see the Pokemon and avoid them or go to them. So we just don't know. We just didn't see it in like a 20-second trailer. So don't count that out. Like, we probably, I'm not saying we could or we shouldn't, but there still is a possibility that Pokemon will still be out in the wild, like Pokemon Let's Go.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. That's definitely gonna be a monumental task to pull off just because of the amount of Pokemon that there are now. But hopefully we'll see some changes. Overall, I would say I love this. I love this new art style. I love how it sort of seems like a watercolor like effect is going on, like you're walking around on a painting. A lot of people have been pointing out how the maps seem a lot more open, but we still have that fixed camera there that is very central to the Pokemon experience. Um, from what we've seen, we haven't seen much of the battles. They specifically took out the UI, which is something that's very common. But I've actually seen, and Marcus, I saw this theory from a YouTuber named Loxon. He's really great. He does a lot of Pokemon in-depth
All
reviews.
right, all right. We're not giving other platforms. Just go ahead.
But what he pointed out and theorized is that the attack and defense, or the sword and the shield, might be referenced to unstoppable force coming up against a immovable object, and that this game, with its pressure on sports, might be pushing more towards having a gameplay gimmick where you have to control the how not the morality but just the morale of your Pokemon in battle, and you have to keep them happy in order to get certain boosts or effects.
I could see that, but I also could see like it could be a lot like Pokemon Let's Go, where you're basically the more time you spend with the Pokemon, the more welcoming they are to you and more willing to fight for you and die for you during a battle.
Yeah. Either way, it looks very interesting. We still have a lot of questions. Of course, this is only a couple second trailer. We don't know who the region scientist is. We don't know anything about the gyms or the new gym
Or maybe
leaders.
there isn't even a scientist. Maybe with Pokemon Sword and Shield, and you have like I don't think it's athletics. I think it's more geared towards battle and war. And instead of having a scientist, you have like generals, and it's kind of like a Game of Thrones type of thing where you're battling different generals from different regions and from different not regions, different areas in the region, such as like, and when you defeat the region, you're like this is just me like speculating, like this is just throwing something at the wall, or just like when you defeat a general or whoever's the head of that region, you automatically get that region under your team or under whoever whatever you are representing.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting game. I've always said, I know I get a lot of flack when I say this. I've always kind of wanted a Pokemon game where you get to be a gym leader. I feel like being able to design your own gym and like get Pokemon trainers to work under you. I always felt like that'd be kind of fun. So I feel like if they could incorporate that, it would definitely at least give the game a good end game.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. What are you looking forward towards? Just in general during the game, or what questions are you looking at, or what questions do you have so far?
My biggest question is the story. So we've seen a lot of allusions towards mythology in this one. There were a lot of runes and a lot of just weird, mysterious things we've seen in this trailer. So I'm interested to see how they change the story or if they leave it the same. We've seen that the Pokemon Company, even within the boundaries of their core storytelling, have been able to tell amazing stories. The one from Sun and Moon I thought was really good, even if it dragged a bit in the beginning. And again, Unova is one of the best stories, and one of the best follow up stories of almost all Pokemon games, in my opinion. So I'm interested to see how that goes. I'm also interested, from what we don't see here, are any rivals or companions. So I'm interested to see who that is going to be in this game.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And so just a few things that I have or questions that I have. Who are the legendary Pokemon that will be in this generation? And also, since they have Pokemon from as far back as Generation One with Pikachu, I'm wondering if the legendary Pokemon from each generation will be available, such as like Moltres and Lugia and who was the one from Sapphire, the whale thing? Oh, I can't remember his name.
Oh,
Yeah,
Kyogre.
yeah, Kyogre and all of that, and just seeing how and seeing if they iterate them in the game as well. Another thing, another aspect that I would like to see is having like a I don't know if this happened in the past generations, Morgan. So correct me if I'm wrong, but having like a Legion of Doom of like the bad guys. So like basically, they're just tired of losing to the same type of person in every region. So we have like Team Rocket teams with Aqua, Magna, Galactic, Plasma, Flare, Skull, the Arthur Foundation, the Ultra Recon Squad, and they just have like their own Legion of Doom, and you have to defeat all of them and their combined resources together. And like such as like in Pokemon Let's Go, of course. Well, actually in all the generations, how like they've infiltrated gyms and stuff. I would like to see it interested. This is just me off the top, and it probably won't happen. But them like infiltrated something simple like the marts or the Pokemon centers or something simple, or even like the daycare, and you also like rescue the daycare from like all of them together. So just seeing something like that'd be interesting to me. Uh
Um, well, in the last Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, they did have at the end there was sort of something like that where you had to go back and you had to defeat the heads of, I believe it was Sinnoh, so Team Galactic, Team Aqua, and Team Aqua and Team Ground. It's not Groudon, but the Ground team. People remember that, and that was a very fun and very interesting arc in that game. The other thing, one other question that came up to me when you mentioned going back and getting the older legendaries in Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, they had the ultra wormholes that you could go through, and you could travel into the past, and you could capture old Pokemon, such as I got Articuno through there, and almost at this point, I almost have like almost all the legendaries on my save file for Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, and that brings me to Pokebank. I know wasn't involved in your age, but they had this thing called Pokebank where you could bring your Pokemon from each generation up into the new games. So you were able to take your Pokemon from Alpha Sapphire into Ultra Sun and into Sun and Moon, and then from Sun and Moon into Ultra Sun and Moon, and it was super nice because you got all your old Pokemon back and you can use them again. You had to leave their items behind, but it was just nice to have them, and you didn't lose all that grinding and all that breeding. Especially for me, that's what I used to do was breed. So I'm wondering if they're going to bring the Pokebank back and say, hey, you can bring your old Pokemon from your DS games into this game, or if they're going to say, we're starting fresh with this game and you're going to have to leave those.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Another thing that I would like to look forward to, which probably won't happen, but in game slash friend tournament. So, like on your way to like the championship to the Elite Four, you get to battle like trainers from like all over who are just on the path. But let's say for some reason the trainers on that path are not as they're not giving you to the level of that next gym leader or whoever it's going to be called. So instead of having to battle a wild Pokemon to get experience points, you just enter into a tournament where the skills are slightly higher than the gym. They're not the gym leaders, but they're slightly close to or whoever that gym leader is, and you have the opportunity to battle from there and battle against different traders to just level up your Pokemon throughout the game. That would be an interesting concept to me. And just like how I said earlier about about how a Legion of Doom for like Team Rocket, Galactus, and all them, you get the opportunity to team up with past champions to help you, sort of like a Justice League to their Legion of Doom, to help them defeat the bad guys. So such as like teaming up with Blue and Red and Green and Gary and all them. So just having that aspect as well. Also, I know this hasn't happened, but actually, and just going off of the Pokemon show, actually having the gym leader leave their gym to train with you. I think that would be pretty cool.
That would be fun. I know that happens. It happens in the show quite often. They've never let you. You've sort of been able to go locations with certain gym leaders. In Unova, you had to solve a problem with the like cowboy dude, who I guarantee you was based on Trump for some reason. But that would be fun just to see. And this is another problem people have been having with gym leaders overall is a lot of times they just stay in their gym and they become non-memorable. So Sun and Moon tried to solve that with the trials, and you're always constantly hanging out and seeing all the trial leaders. So if they could keep that sort of thing going, where you see the gym leaders outside of their gym doing stuff, that'd be
Yeah,
fun.
or even challenging a gym leader for their gym, for control of their gym. Just like if you have like a certain type of Pokemon and they're all above a certain level, I think you should be able to have the opportunity to challenge a gym leader for that gym, and if you beat the gym leader, either have the option of staying there and fighting trainers, or just having that under your control and coming back whenever you want to and fighting trainers as well. Another thing, I want them to bring back bikes and scooters. Uh, I know that's I don't know why they took it away, but bringing back the bikes and scooters, that was always one of the most enjoyable things of the Pokemon game. Because sometimes you don't want to fly anywhere, you do want to catch a Pokemon on your way. So just bringing back the bikes and scooters, and something new, sky battles. So in case you don't notice, spoiler alert to those who haven't finished Pokemon Let's Go, but you have the opportunity to fly on top of certain Pokemon. I would like it so that you could be able to fight against other trainers in the sky. Uh, to,
Um, that was a mechanic in I think it was they introduced it in the Kalos region. It was actually a pretty interesting fight. You went up to a person, they were on a high area, and you'd be up in the sky and only flying Pokemon were able to be used. So it limited the type of Pokemon you could use in that battle. So bringing those back would definitely be fun.
yeah, and no, just like not even having just like flying Pokemon, just having like a like a floating battle area, a floating battle arena that you guys can just use in battle, so that all types will be able to fight. And I know I talked about legendary Pokemon earlier, but Mew and Mewtwo, I would like to see them be an option in this game as well.
Yeah. Um, I'd also like to see just the battle area become more important. Just like maybe certain terrain changes the way the battle works. I think that'd be a lot of fun, working with the terrain. But moving on to, let's say, our final question. At the end of the trailer, they said thank you, of course, and they said they had a lot of content coming and a lot of stuff coming for the Pokemon brand in 2019, and they were sort of vague, which is interesting considering we should technically know everything coming in 2019. So far, stuff coming for Pokemon in 2019 that we know is coming. You got Detective Pikachu, which is coming out in this summer, I believe.
It
Um,
comes out in May.
in May. You have Pokemon Let's Go, not Pokemon Let's Go. You have these games, Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield, which is gonna come out mid-November, right before Black Friday. That's when Pokemon games always come out. I don't know why they bother with the dates. Um, so what ideals do you have for what else they could put out?
Just the update for Pokemon Go before the game releases, so that you have access to the new Generation 8 Pokemon, and you can see some of the Pokemon before you get the game, or even having like Pokemon Go exclusives that you can transfer to Pokemon Sword and Shield. Oh, and also I forgot that transferring Pokemon uh from like the Johto region, from like later generations to Pokemon Sword and Shield. I would like that option as well. But yeah, I think of course Detective Pikachu. Um, and like you said, the game, I would like a Pokemon Go update.
Uh,
I also would like I also would like a tournament, like an esports tournament, exclusive for like some of the top fighting games. Well, I know it's not a fighting game, but just like
they
so,
have that.
yeah. So just like doing like a sneak preview, so we can see some of the moves on like from like some of the top trainers in the world.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll do a preview one, but they usually have a secondary one for the pros a couple weeks after the game launches. My guess is for what they mean when they have secret content. Of course, you have more mobile games, which of course Nintendo's been branching off. Maybe, hopefully, an update for the last one they put out on the Switch. It's like Pokemon Shuffle or something. I forgot its name. It was a really good game. I beat it, except for like it hasn't had an update or any new content like a couple months. Obviously new Let's Go stuff. Maybe another movie announcement of the TV show. And the wild accusation, the craziest thing I can think of that they would mean when they say we got more content coming, is maybe a more extension on Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. So maybe we get some DLC. Maybe like the Johto region, or they skip that overall and they release another version of Let's Go in the Let's Go series that's based on maybe Generation 4, so Sinnoh. That would be nice because Sinnoh's a very nostalgic region for me, especially. But we're going to have to see. Game Freak has a lot of plates they're spinning right now. They're working on Town, they're working on this, and they're probably doing work for the next Pokemon game. So we're going to have to see what they have coming for us in 2019. But I think that's all we have time for today. Anything else to say?
No. Make sure. So we have a lot of content dropping or that has already dropped. Make sure you check out our Dust Off the Cartridge. Where what did we talk about? Dang. Dust Off the Cartridge, where we talked
GHQ Nordic.
where we talked about THQ's misstep. We talked about NBA 2K League. We talked about the return of the Overwatch League, the Shanghai's win. We talked about some new games, and our boss battle was should you trust game reviewers? Make sure you also check out our Super Flow Bros podcast, where we talked about Ja Rule, Robert Kraft, Robert Kelly, Jussie Smollett, and more. Also, even though this is a Pokemon discussion, make sure you check out Meta's Pokemon reaction to the Pokemon Direct that dropped today. We have two Fantastic Flows podcasts dropping this weekend. Yeah, and that's about it. Make sure you are following us on all social media platforms. Follow us on Twitter at 26th and G. Follow us on Instagram at 26th and Glencoe. Like our Facebook page at 26th and Glencoe Media. And make sure you like our YouTube page at 26th and Glencoe Media Network. And that's it. And until next time, peace.
Yo.